Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, tonight, which is the 28th night of the Ramadan, we will talk about a few ayat from Surah Abasa. This surah was revealed in Mecca on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Meccan era, as we have talked about in the past. When we say the hadith or the ayah or the surah was revealed on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Meccan era, or it's called Makki, the surah is Makkiyah. What it means by that is that the surah was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prior to Rasulullah completed the migration to Medina, which means that before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, along with being a prophet messenger, he became a ruler over the people, where he was implementing the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, this surah, Surah Abasa was revealed in some circumstances, and it's important to understand when the surah was revealed and who it was referred to. The surahs were the ayat that I'd like to talk about today are بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم عبس وتولى أن جاءه الأعمى وما يدريك لعله يزكى أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى. Here in these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is as saying here to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said Abasa wa tawalla. Here the name is not mentioned of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but it's mentioned about because of the incident we know of. Says the frowned and turned away. He frowned and turned away. Who's that he? He is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Because they came to him, the blind man. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is mentioning why Rasulullah turned away. And ja'ahul a'ma, that a blind man came to him. And this is the time he was asking, and the blind man was Abdullah bin Maktoum. And he was asking Rasulullah to preach him something about Islam, while Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was busy in preaching to, according to different reports, one or some of the leaders of the Quraysh. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَكَّى. But what could tell you that perchance he might become pure from sins, maybe referring to the one who Rasulullah is talking to. And Allah is saying, or that he might receive admonition, and that admonition might profit him. أَمَّا مَنْ اسْتَغْنَى. As for him who thinks himself self-sufficient, فَأَنْتَ لَهُ تَصَدَّى. To him you attend. وَمَا عَلَيْكَ أَلَّا يَزَكَّى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and what does it matter to you if he will not become pure? He will not accept the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى. But as to him who came to you running, referring to Abdullah ibn Maktoum, وَهُوَ يَخْشَى, and is afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأَنْتَ عَنْهُ تَلَّاهَا. Of him you are neglectful and divert your attention to another. كَلَّا إِنَّهَا تَذْكِرَةٌ. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after that few ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the Quran itself. What is this Quran that Abdullah bin Maktoum was there to learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while Rasulullah was busy with those leaders? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that nay, indeed it, talking about the Quran, these verses are an admonition. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَهُ. So whoever will, let him pay attention to it. فِي صُحُفِ مُكَرَّمَةٍ. It is in records held greatly in honor in Lawh Mahfuz, مَرْفُوعَةٍ مُطَهَّرَةٍ, and exalted in dignity, purified, بِأَيْدِي سَفَرَةٍ, in the hands of the scribes, angels, kiramin barara, honorable and obedient. So these are the verses that talks about the incident that happened. So now let's look into the incident that happened, and inshallah we will talk about the the impact on or relevance from today's time, day and time that we are living in from these verses. So now, first of all, this is the time in the Meccan era when very few handful people were Muslim who accepted Islam from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And at that time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as one of the Mufassirin, Sayyid Qutb, rahimahullah, he mentions that who are the people he was talking to. So what happened was Abdullah ibn Maktoum came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was a blind man. By the way, from the lineage perspective, he was an honorable man. It's not that, but he was a poor man. But he was the cousin of the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the al-Mu'mineen, Khadija radiyallahu anha. Her father Khuwaylid was the brother of Abdullah ibn Maktoum. So Maktoum was the sister of the father of Khadija radiyallahu anha. So that shows that he was from a great lineage. But from the handicap of being blind, you can think of it as if he is weak in a sense. Now, while Sayyid Qutb rahimahullah, he mentions that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while was talking at that time, was the people including Utbah and Shaybah. These were the sons of Rabi'ah and Abu Jahl, who was Amr bin Hisham, and Umayyah bin Khalaf, Walid bin Mughira, and some it's also Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was not a Muslim at that time. And these are the people Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was engaged in explaining the Islam, giving the message of Islam to them. And of course, these are the powerful people of the Mecca. If they would have accepted Islam, that would have given or that would have opened many doors for the da'wah to spread easily. As the da'wah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the da'wah for the whole society. It was not really for only the poor or only for the rich, but this is more of the way that you use to carry the da'wah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not reprimanded, by the way, in these verses about carrying the da'wah to them. The recommendation came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in regards to frowning away from Abdullah ibn Maktoum radiallahu anhu, that he was the one who was asking for the message from, asking to learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned his face away from Abdullah ibn Maktoum. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about this, that وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَذَكَّرُ, how could you know perhaps he would cleanse himself, or يَذَكَّرُ فَتَنْفَعُهُ الذِّكْرَى, or he might be mindful and good counsel might avail him. أَمَّا مَنِ اسْتَغْنَى, now he who waxes indifferences. Now, so it's talking about that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was hoping them to accept the Islam. While when it comes to the da'wah, or the who is going to be guided and who's not going to be guided, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the choice to the human beings, that this is the choice is up to them. That yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends the message of guidance through the messengers. But the people were given the choice, and it's not up to the prophets to force anybody, or any one of us in Islam. It is not allowed even to force anybody to accept Islam. It is everybody, whoever becomes Muslim, he comes into Islam by his own will. So here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was doing the thing which is to do the da'wah to the people, and here specifically he was getting the da'wah to the leaders of the Meccan. So the Rasulullah was not reprimanded for doing the da'wah to the chiefs of different clans. Rather, he was reprimanded for not paying attention to the one who was looking for for learning from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned away. So here Allah Azza wa Jal is reprimanding Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to not to frown upon him, and while he is the one who is paying attention, the one who wants to listen to it, pay attention to it, he should have gone to him. as I like to make sure that we understand that clearly. It's not that the action of giving the da'wah to them was incorrect or something. It was more of a frowning them away. And this is more of a reminder to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that to give the da'wah to the one who is listening and he is paying attention to it, rather than to the ones who is not paying attention at that time. Of course, among them, there were people like Abbas radiallahu anhu was there, who did become Muslim later on. So the teaching here is that when we are taking the message of Islam to the people, we should pay attention to the one who is listening to the da'wah, who is paying attention, who want to learn, who want to take the message. And obviously the da'wah has to be given to the people who are not carrying the message of Islam, who are not the believers. So we have to take it to them. But at the same time, when there are people who are asking to learn from you, then at that time you have to go to the one who is more responsive to the da'wah. And now another aspect of this da'wah, we can see that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was not that he was looking down by any means at Abdullah ibn Maktoum, because in Islam we don't look down. It doesn't matter how rich of a person is, or poor a person is, or how educated or uneducated person is. It is when it comes to the honor is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indeed the one who is more honorable is the one who is more taqwa. And the taqwa, which is the consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who be careful about not crossing any of the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the person who is righteous and pious and pure. This is the one in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is as the one who has more honor. So that's only up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not the one who can talk about the honor in that sense. So when it comes to us as a human being, of course, we have to deal with them with respect. It's not the issue of the wealth or the knowledge or whatsoever a person may carry. All of us are equal in that sense. Okay, now, and we see that later on in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he was surrounded by, not even later on, even before that also, he was surrounded by many of those people who, in today's terminology, people call them as underprivileged people, like Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, or Anas bin Malik. And one of the hadith talks about Abu Musa al-Ashari, when he came and he saw Anas bin Malik and his mother so much coming in back and forth to Rasulullah's house, he used to think that as if they were part of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while they were the poor of the state of the Islamic State that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ruling at that time. And same thing we see people like Bilal radiallahu anhu, or Zayd bin Harith and so on and so forth. So when it comes to the da'wah of Islam, Rasulullah ﷺ was doing the da'wah this way because these people had power, they had authority, and that is considered as one of the means to be used to carry the da'wah to the people. So then it becomes easier for the others because it becomes easier to see the message of Islam. It makes the doors open more for the others to see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down through the messenger. So and of course with the authority, then it's much easier to carry the message of Islam to the rest of the world as well. And this is what we see in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam carried the message of Islam in Mecca, and very handful number of people who accepted Islam. And even at that time, we find Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going to the people and carrying the da'wah to the society in general. And then people used to come to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to investigate about Islam, and they came into fold of Islam. And others, in some cases, we find Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was mentioning them about their message, and they accepted Islam because they already were very curious, inquisitive, and they already had different kinds of reasons to accept Islam. And there were people who Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam approached, but most of the time what we see in the seerah he was approaching the people who really had authority when we talk about specific individuals. While when it comes to at large, he was calling the whole society towards Islam, and because of that call, people were entering the fold of Islam. And then in Mecca, there were very few people became Muslim. And once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was able to get the support from the people in Medina, where he was accepted as a leader, as a ruler over the people of Medina, then we see that in a very short period of time, while Rasulullah from migrated from Mecca to Medina, he had about around 100 people along with him. And of course, there were people in Medina on top of him, but the one who were accepted Islam in Mecca were around 100 people. And then we see in a very short period of time that first 13 years, we see around 100 people became Muslim. And then the next about 10 years, while he was in Medina, we see that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was performing his last Hajj, in the last Hajj, according to one report, there were about 124,000 people were present at the Hajj, and according to another report, there were 144,000 people who attended the Hajj. That shows that how fast Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was able to expand the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal in a short period of time when he had authority. And that's what it shows that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going to these people who had the power. This is why he was going and looking for, so this deen can spread faster in an easier way to carry the message to the rest of the world. And again, even when we have power or you don't have power, there is no compulsion in deen. You don't force people to enter into full Islam. Rather, you take the message of Islam to the people, and at the end, every individual has this choice whether to accept Islam or not to accept Islam. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a correct understanding of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he revealed in this month of Ramadan, and make us understand how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam carried the message of Islam to the mankind, that today we are blessed to be born in the families who are Muslim or who have entered into the fold of Islam even today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those who get the best out of this month of Ramadan and have all our sins and shortcomings forgiven. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite us all in Jannatul Firdaus. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.